The energy inside the courtroom was unlike anything ever seen on Judge Judy's show. At the defendant's table sat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, poised and calm, her eyes fixed ahead while murmurs swirled around the packed audience. Across from her, Judge Judy leaned forward, her signature sharp expression even more intense than usual. "Congresswoman Crockett," she snapped, "I've been hearing about your grandstanding in Congress, and frankly, I think someone needs to teach you some respect for authority." A hush fell. This wasn't a regular case. It was a high-profile, one-of-a-kind showdown that would soon become one of the most dissected and replayed moments in courtroom television history, and a defining one for both of these fierce women. To fully grasp the shock that was about to unfold, you have to understand who these women are. Judge Judy, the undisputed queen of courtroom television, has built a reputation over decades by cutting through nonsense and demanding discipline. With a scowl that could silence a room, she's long ruled her courtroom with an iron tone and quick wit. Jasmine Crockett, meanwhile, is a 42-year-old congresswoman, a former civil rights attorney, and one of the sharpest rising voices in politics. She didn't rely on name recognition or political favors. She earned her place through grit, unmatched preparation, and a mind for the law. This face-off wasn't accidental. It was years of opposing worldviews crashing head-on. Judge Judy's worldview is rooted in structure, tradition, and seniority. To her, respect for titles and age is non-negotiable. Crockett, however, believes that authority must be earned, not inherited or demanded. Judge Judy thought she could treat Crockett like any other courtroom guest, talk over her, shut her down, put her in her place. But Crockett came with a very different set of tools: facts, law, and a calm demeanor forged in actual legal warfare. The tension wasn't just personal, it was generational. A battle between the old guard of unquestioned control and a new wave of leadership that believes in accountability over obedience. The confrontation began immediately. Judge Judy, flipping through her notes with theatrical flair, accused Crockett of being loud and disrespectful in congressional hearings. "Don't you, Your Honor, me in that tone," she barked. "I've been practicing law since before you were born, and every young lawyer who acts like they're smarter than everyone else is usually wrong." Crockett remained still, letting the words land. There was no outburst, no anger, just the faintest trace of a smile that told everyone watching she'd heard it all before. And then she calmly leaned into the mic, ready to deliver the first of many devastating replies. "Your Honor," she began, voice smooth but laced with edge, "I'm not sure what you mean by people like me. Could you clarify that?" The question echoed like a legal grenade. Judy hesitated. She pivoted, claiming Crockett hadn't earned the right to critique judges or institutions. But Crockett didn't flinch. "I believe there might be some confusion about how our constitutional system works," she said. From that moment on, the tone shifted entirely. Crockett wasn't reacting. She was positioning, strategizing, waiting for her moment. And when Judge Judy pressed harder, Crockett calmly opened the folder she had brought and made it clear. She was ready for battle. Inside were documents, records, case summaries, and even copies of decisions from Judge Judy's actual time as a family court judge before television. "Since my credentials have been questioned," Crockett said, "I thought it appropriate to review some facts." She referenced a 1987 ruling by Judge Judy that had been overturned on appeal for relying on personal judgment over legal standards. "What are you doing?" Judy asked, her tone less certain now. "Demonstrating the difference between television performance and legal analysis," Crockett answered. It was clear now, the woman across from Judy wasn't a publicity seeker. She was a constitutional law expert in full command. Then came the turning point. Crockett stood. "This isn't really your courtroom," she said. "This is a television set. You're not a sitting judge anymore. You're a retired judge arbitrating for entertainment purposes." The audience gasped. "The authority you're claiming over me is imaginary. I'm an elected federal official," she added. The silence was total. Judge Judy didn't respond, because she couldn't. This was no longer a verbal scuffle. It had become a full-on civics lesson, delivered by someone who knew exactly where power came from, what it meant, and how it should be used. And she wasn't done, not by a long shot. Crockett opened the Constitution itself. She walked through Congress's duties to oversee other branches. "You call it grandstanding," she said, "but Article 1, Section 8 says otherwise. In McGrain versus Doherty, the Supreme Court said congressional oversight is essential to democracy." Crockett continued, "When I question Supreme Court justices about undisclosed gifts or ethics violations, I'm not being confrontational. I'm doing my job." She then listed her credentials: law degree, civil rights victories, legislative record. "My qualifications don't come from television ratings. They come from courtroom experience and the trust of the people who elected me." The contrast with Judy's role had become painfully clear. Judge Judy was visibly shaken. For the first time in her career, she was on the receiving end of the scrutiny she so often dished out. And then she said something almost no one expected. "Congresswoman?" That was quite a response. It was quiet but unmistakable. "I may have underestimated you," Crockett replied with a polite nod. "That happens to me a lot," she said. The room erupted into applause. Audience members who had expected to see Crockett humbled by Judy had instead watched a masterclass in law, professionalism, and accountability. This wasn't a takedown. It was a legal reckoning, and Crockett had delivered it flawlessly. If you were as stunned as that courtroom when Jasmine Crockett flipped the script, don't forget to hit that like button to show your support for truth, preparation, and fearless leadership. Subscribe right now so you never miss a moment where power is challenged and the unexpected unfolds on live TV. These aren't just viral clips. They're defining moments in our culture. And if you know someone who still thinks Judge Judy can't be challenged, share this video with them. Let them witness what happens when experience meets real constitutional knowledge. The next showdown is just around the corner, and you won't want to miss it.